Hersheypark is one of the best amusement parks in the world. Located in Hershey, Pennsylvania, this park is one of the best coaster collections of all time. You know how most parks have like a top 3? Hershey has a top 6. Today I'll be ranking the top 10 coasters at Hersheypark and sharing my opinion with you guys. I highly recommend going to Hersheypark if you haven't already. It's one of my home parks and I try to visit this park every single chance I get. It seriously is one of the best parks in the world and should not be passed down. Now, let's jump into the countdown. Before I start, these coasters won't be on the list because we're only doing the top 10, guys. I usually try to make the list include as many coasters as possible, but if I don't want this video to be 3 hours long, I'm gonna have to take a few out. Some of these rides aren't even kiddie coasters. One legitimately has an inversion in it.
Go crazy! Go stupid! I
would love to rank them, but it would just take too long and it would drag the video. Kicking it off at our number 10 spot goes to the Jolly Rancher Remix coaster. Wow. It's of a Coma Boomerang, so there's not much to talk about. You can find this at any other park, basically. Luckily, it has vest restraints, so you don't have to worry about banging your head, but you can still feel the track isn't the smoothest. Honestly, the ride's best part is the theming and the soundtrack that syncs with the ride. Now, our number 9 spot goes to Wildcat. Let me explain. I know Wildcat is one of the roughest coasters out there, but call me crazy, that's what kind of makes it so fun. The ride is just a complete joke, and honestly, if you can take it like that, it can be kind of fun. Just riding with your friends and going crazy while the ride tries to rattle the crap out of you. Yeah, okay. Next time, just be dumb about it, I guess, and don't take it as a coaster. Even if you haven't ridden Wildcat though, I would still ride it because there is a rumor that the ride will get RMC'd soon, so at least experience it before it's gone. Our number 8 spot goes to Laugh Track, an order spinning coaster that is pretty lame, but kind of thrilling. I don't know. The ride itself isn't that intense, but the ride's first drop is insane. I swear, it feels like it's at such a steep angle, and spinning on the way down adds a whole nother element of chaos to the ride. The rest of the coaster is just full of small dips and turns, not really much to talk about. If you're trying to hit up Laugh Track, do it early. The ride has 4 riders per train, which is trash capacity. If you don't hit it up early, just don't ride it at all. It's not worth a 3-hour wait. Comet is our number 7 coaster on this list and is a classic wooden coaster. The ride opened in 1946 and is still running strong. Instead of having the normal PTC lap bars, the ride even has buzz bars, leaving ample room for airtime. They literally are like 6 inches away from your legs. Even though Comet doesn't have much airtime, the room the restraints provide makes the airtime feel more insane than it is. Comet also generates a line pretty quickly, so try to hit this up early as well. Now we are getting into our top 6, and going forward, all these rides are super fun, entertaining, and attractions you must ride if you're visiting Hersheypark. Kicking the top 6 off is Lightning Racer. Now, I used to think this ride was pretty tame and didn't offer much, but the ride is very similar to Millennium Force, and the fact it isn't very forceful, it's just fun. The ride interacts really well with the other train you're racing against, and for some reason, Thunder always wins, which doesn't make sense because physics. The ride starts to lose pace around 2/3 into the layout. I think this is the only complaint I have with Lightning Racer. It just gets so slow towards the end and you can really feel it. Otherwise, it's a really fun racing coaster. 97 and Falling Fast. Frestrike is probably one of the most intimidating rides at Hersheypark, but once you ride it, it isn't that scary. The first drop has really good ejector airtime, but it lasts for around 2 seconds. Nonetheless, it's still a really good drop. The rest of the ride is full of inversions and a few pops of airtime within the mix. For me, the inversions don't do much, they aren't whippy, and they also don't provide hang time. The back-to-back corkscrews are really fun and pull some really good G's, and the sneaky airtime mode towards the end actually provides strong airtime. Frestrike is basically an intimate Eurofighter, and it's like the only kind. The best way I can describe Frestrike to other coasters made by Intamin is an Intamin Blitz coaster without a launch. You won't find a similar ride like this made by Intamin. Really fun and unique ride. Before riding Afterburn and Alpengeist, Great Bear was my favorite B&M invert I rode. It's a very weird layout how it starts with the helix before going into the first drop. They had to get creative with the layout because it was passing over Coal Cracker and Super Duper Looper. The drop is pretty decent with the weightlessness feeling, and the 0G roll is the best part of the ride. It for sure is one of the best 0G rolls I've experienced. The snappy corkscrew that you won't see coming at the end is also super whippy fast and forceful. I'm also a pretty big fan of the Immelman, as the train goes slightly below ground level as it whips right up into the inversion. It provides pretty good hang time as well. Great Bear also has the airtime hill that passes right over through, Great Bear also has an airtime hill that passes right over through the entrance of Skyrush, and you can actually get floater airtime on it. If you can't tell, I'm a huge fan of Great Bear, and it's one of my favorite B&M inverts of all time. The only complaint that I have with it is that it's pretty short and the line gets pretty long as well. The ride is made by B&M, so it does have really good capacity, but every time I've been to Hersheypark, the dispatches were 2 minutes and above, which is really slow. Make sure you try it in the back, because in my opinion that's the best row in the seat, and hit the ride up early too, so you don't have to deal with those awful dispatches.
Yeah!
Get ready, here we go.
Now!
Launching its way into the top 3 is Stormrunner, an intimate accelerator. Stormrunner goes 72 miles per hour in 2 seconds, which is a really fast acceleration. The ride is the only intimate accelerator with inversions, and it has one really unique elements. Cobra Loop, which is just like an Immelman, and the Flying Snake Dive, which is many people's favorite part of the ride. The first drop in the back row has pretty insane airtime as it keeps the sustain going down the entire drop. Really awesome adrenaline rush that you cannot miss at Hershey. Stormrunner is pretty short though, as it's around 50 seconds, definitely longer than other accelerated coasters made by Intimate, such as Ka and Dragster, but still short for a coaster. Is the newest coaster at Hersheypark and currently the newest B&M Hyper in the world, and while it is the newest, I cannot say it's my favorite. For the most part, it's pretty short for a B&M Hyper, and the stats are on the lower side for this model. Cannonmonium also has 2 trims on 2 airtime hills, which somewhat kill the airtime on those hills. You can still feel it, but without the brakes it will definitely be stronger. The first hill and drop is pretty good, as they both provide pretty good floater airtime for a decent amount of time. The speed hill is pretty awesome, however I like the one on the ride better, and the mini turbo clef is pretty good as well. Not as good as Fury's, but still good. It gives pretty good floater airtime. However, I feel after that moment in the ride, there's an airtime hill with a trim on it and just a circle around the Kisses Fountain, which is cool to look at and all, but it isn't that entertaining when you're actually on the ride, which is one of the reasons it's not near the top of my list for B&M Hypers. And with all these coasters eliminated, I think we all know what's taking our #1 spot.
We get up to the top at like 10 seconds and we're already there. Oh crap. Yeah, let's go!
Well, this should have come as a surprise to most of you. Skyrush, in my opinion, is by far the best coaster at Hersheypark. None of the rides besides Skyrush make it into my top 20 coasters, which just shows how awesome Skyrush really is. Skyrush is the king of negative G-forces. The ride's airtime hills are so powerful, and the ride really tries to send you to the moon. Out of the 157 different roller coasters I've ridden, Skyrush is some of the most intense negative G's out of them all. And the first drop on Skyrush, holy crap, this thing is just insane. If you watch Coaster Studios, you know how he calls the first drop on Skyrush a car crash, and honestly, he isn't lying. It really is that intense. Skyrush's first drop is really hard to explain because it feels like you're falling twice. Think of it as the first half of Skyrush drop as Fahrenheit's drop. But then halfway down, there's this massive shake that flings you even more out of your seat. It's like falling twice, like I already said. It's really insane and it is really hard to explain. I mean, you can kind of see it in this point of view I filmed, how that shake that I'm talking about that makes you inject a second time. It's basically like you're falling twice. You're getting crazy negative G's for the first half of the drop, and once you're halfway down the drop, it's just straight up violent. After that, Skyrush goes into this crazy hill that makes your shirt want to fly off. I'm not even kidding, I almost lost my sweatshirt on this hill before. After that, Skyrush presses you with positive G's that goes into another insanely fast hill right under the first. Skyrush then goes into a stangle dive, which gives insane laterals also. After that, the ride crushes you with even more positive G's, then rapidly twists from one direction to the other, just like in Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. Then Skyrush goes into another hill, smaller than the two previous camelbacks, but still provides the same amount of power to it. Then Skyrush goes into a high bank turn, ending off the ride in the brakes. Skyrush is truly the best coaster at Hersheypark, in my opinion, and is one of the most elite in the world. And I know some people are gonna ask me about the restraints, and honestly, they don't really bother me. They do tighten on your legs dramatically, but they're so open and free that it kind of makes up for it. If your legs are really hurting on a ride, when you hit the final brake run, unbuckle the seatbelt, and after the train stops, the restraint will lift up about 2 inches to give your legs a break. And trust me, it is perfectly safe. Seatbelts have nothing to do with the hydraulic pressure restraints Skyrush uses. And if during the ride Skyrush is thigh crushing you, then try to make it so the restraints land on your hips in the future. Well, there you go guys. That is my list for the top 10 coasters at Hersheypark in my opinion. Make sure you tell me your list down in the comments, as I am really curious to see your opinion as well. If you haven't visited Hersheypark, make sure you tell me what you think will be your favorite coaster at the park, and tell me how much you want to visit Hershey. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, make sure you give it a like, and if you want to see more of my content such as roller coaster point of views or ranking videos, make sure you also hit the subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.